kind of reached around and grabbed me, so I reached around and I grabbed his butt. And I was just in it, and then I thought, oh my God, what have I done?
Hey you guys, and welcome back to Dance Dish, where the dance ends and the dish begins. I am your host, the one and only Brooklyn J. But before we get started, let's say how you doing to our live studio audience. What up, y'all? This week we are doing it different with a dynamic duo on Dance Dish. Ooh, did I just slay that?
That was good.
All right, you guys, these two guests that I have do not need an introduction because they are truly living legends. Let's please give it up for the one and only Travis Payne. Living legend. And the beautiful and iconic Stacey Walker. Ow! Look at them heels. All right, so I'm a really big fan of Michael Jackson's This Is It, and I'm dying to hear some of the backstories, how he was, like, I'm just ready.
I mean, my actual first job in LA was Ghosts.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's Ghosts. That was my first job
With
in
the
LA.
house?
Yeah, the house. It was, you know, like a sort of a
abandoned
like a
mansion.
movie.
Yes, it was like a sequel
Yeah.
to Thriller.
Sick.
Yeah.
I just remember it was the hardest job ever.
It was. It was a labor of
Prosthetics,
love.
dusting us, and then
The hot glue?
the hot glue.
Yeah.
So they would make it look like we had cobwebs all over our bodies and costumes.
They would take a hot glue gun, they'd stand you in front of a fan, and then they just spray into the fan and it blows it all over you.
Hot glue.
We wore prosthetics, we wore layers and layers of costumes. I had wigs and fake hair and you
skin
know,
rashes.
and skin rashes because of the adhesive,
Yeah.
which Michael Jackson paid for me to get fixed for the dermatologist. Thank you very much. But it was hard, and I remember whining to him and saying, please don't make me get dressed again, please don't make me get dressed again, because we had pickup shots. And he was like, you have to. But I just remember we started Ghosts and finally finished it 4 years later. We start, stop, songs change, cast change, directors change.
And
then
they
we
stopped
finally finished
because
it.
you know technology needed to catch up to what he wanted to do, because there was actually more special effects in Ghosts than there was in Jurassic Park.
Yep.
And it was done by the same
Yep.
creator,
Stan
Stan
Winston.
Winston, who did all the prosthetics and special effects
Yep.
and all that.
How did you book that job? Like what came about? Like how
Whoa.
did you get?
Okay, great question. Do you know I never auditioned for one Michael Jackson job?
Yep.
How lucky am I? Cry. I was weirdly working at Disney World in Florida. And I believe Lavelle came to visit a dear friend of ours, Mick Thompson. Travis and I knew each
Yeah,
other
from
because we were
school.
kids.
Yeah.
But I think it was like, you know,
A combination of
combination
things,
of
too.
all
and
that,
it was,
right?
And it was timing, and it was the right time. And, you know, because...
It was a phone call.
Yeah, and Stacey was absolutely perfect, you know, to be in The Way You Make Me Feel and feature with Michael.
well, yeah, first Ghosts, and then
Yeah.
great segue into the history
tour, right.
Yes.
Yeah. It was all predetermined. I mean, I think, you know, but for Lavelle Smith Jr., I may not have worked with Michael either. You know, so we had at that time a very close-knit union, like a family, and you know, people that we knew who were capable, not just nepotism for the sake of nepotism, but who were capable. We gave them opportunities, you know, because I never felt like it was necessary to have a big cattle call if you really only need a handful of people. I think that's a waste of time. So we rarely did them.
You and Lavelle were always so
Yeah,
gracious
yeah.
to just, you know, really include their friends and family
And the
who they
people that
knew
they
and
knew were
trusted.
gonna,
and
get the job done.
And it was really
And
special.
personalities that will work in the dynamic.
Right.
You know, because it's a very highly stressful job. So we had to get people that we knew would thrive in the environment and contribute to it.
You know, it was highly stressful
What?
for me doing The Way You Make Me Feel with Michael on the history tour.
Was it the shoes or the...
No, the shoes were fine.
Okay.
Everything was fine. But one night, I don't know what got into me, but I was just feeling extra cute. And I stood there, and he kind of reached around and grabbed me, so I reached around and I grabbed his butt. And I was just in it, and then I thought, oh my God, what have I done? And when it was time, I went off stage, and Lavelle was there. I was like, Lavelle, I just grabbed Michael Jackson's butt. And Lavelle goes, he probably loved it. And it was
Wait,
fine.
did he?
Yeah. Michael was very funny and playful.
Yeah.
He liked to joke around.
And spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
He loved all that.
He liked a little bit of sass, a little bit of playfulness, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun. But you have really fun stories
Like
from
with
This
the...
Is It.
Michael really loved simple things like the flight attendants.
Yeah.
He felt like everybody has choreography. Everybody. He
Yeah.
thought the lighting designer, the sound department, if you have something that you do in a series more than one time,
It's choreography.
choreography.
Correct, yeah.
He would get a kick out of the flight attendants. The few times we flew commercially on tours, he would be giggling when he watched the flight attendants when they do their thing. He just loved that. And also, before This Is It, I don't know what we were getting ready for, but we were in one of the rehearsals, and a lot of times we spent time just talking. And then he just asked me something so off the wall. One time, he said, "What's this mean when people go like that?" What is that? When they do that, what does that mean? And I said, okay, well,
Yeah.
customarily, gay men
Yeah.
will say something particularly witty or biting or cutting or funny, and then that's like an exclamation point to make sure you hurt it.
Right.
He goes, oh. And I was like, yeah, you say something, 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 something.
Yeah.
He was like, oh. And then he starts doing this. And then he worked it in the choreography. He took something that was in pop culture and he applied it to himself and what he does. You'll see a small glimpse in the documentary where we're playing with the flight attendants, and that was a big thing. We had full rehearsals for the flight attendants.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know what they were going to do. Oh, that should be quicker. No, they really kind of go like that more than that. Like it has to be, and you gotta go bigger. Like you gotta, and then look when you do it.
He was
I was
very
like,
He was
serious.
like, and it's a
So serious about the flight attendants.
There's one more story I want to tell about This Is It that's really special to me. I told you this. So some of you might know Jen Hamilton. She's a great dancer. Her husband is a huge Michael Jackson fan. And he happened to one day send me this text message. And this was, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
So at the time, there was an app that was new where you could ask it questions, kind of like Surrey now, right? And he asked the app, who is the world's greatest entertainer? And the app answered in print, Michael Jackson is the world's greatest entertainer. So I go to rehearsal, I'm in rehearsal. This was at Center Staging.
Center Staging, yeah, in Burbank.
And oddly, Michael and I happened to be leaving rehearsal that night at the same time. It just kind of was the two of us, which has never happened. And I just thought really quick, I think I want to show him that app, And so I get emotional sometimes when I say
That's okay.
this. But it's so special because we were leaving and I said, Michael, I want to show you this. I said, one of my friends is a huge fan of yours. And he asked this app, who was the world's greatest entertainer? And I said, Michael, look what it says. And he was so tickled. He was so touched. He was like, oh my God, Michael Jackson is the world's greatest entertainer. It's just special to me that I got to share that with him, especially since he passed. And it's important for all of us to, tell people when they're special and appreciated, right? We have to tell each other and be kind to one another. And so I'm very grateful for that moment. And now
Look
that
at
I
you.
brought it down.
I mean, look
but
at
I
you.
still look so good.
I know, I'm just saying. It's like,
I know how to cry pretty.
yes. Right.
Let's raise our glasses to the one and only Michael Jackson, the man who made magic, love, and happiness.
And the world's greatest entertainer.
Of all time.
And to Dance Dish.
And we got a dance dish.
That's right. To Michael Jackson, we love you.
Dance dish.
5, 6, 7, 8.